Paul Suggitt, Crazy Hat Films, Fat Cat Productions, probably lots of other things. Hartlepool Radio, Paul Suggitt Filmmaker. A guy with a lot of fingers in his pies. So I worked with you last year. We done the Lee Duffy Too Far, Too Soon film. So what are you doing at the minute then? What kind of things are you doing at the minute?
At the minute, I'm in the middle of filming my next documentary, which is it features Eddie Elwood, 5 times Mr. Universe, strongman, well known in those genres for what he's achieved in life. But there's also the other side of him where he's a bit of a bad lad as well. So I'm producing and directing my next documentary with Fat Cat Productions, and that concentrates on building out a whole story so people can literally see cradle to grave everything about this guy, and there's a lot of eye openers in it where I've known this guy from for years in what is the strongman genre,
Yeah.
and Mr. Universe, but he's got one hell of another story.
Has he really?
And the whole lot's going to come out in this documentary. So all being well, everything's going well so far. I was filming today, and I was actually filming some of the more personal sides of it with Eddie and his family. It's Christmas time, and so it was, there's a few little bits going to come out in the documentary, which just shows a really personal side of somebody. Then that was it. In the car across here to see you, touch base with you to talk about some projects for next year as well, to make sure I can, if we're going to do it, fit them into a potential timeline of when we can start the dialogues off with that. Eddie's documentary will probably go to film festivals in the summer of 2022 after it's been edited and put together. Got some really good vibes and good hopes with that one. So it's I've got that one going on. I'm talking and dialoguing with a few other people as well, because I'm getting a lot of pitches at the minute for, would you be interested in doing this? Would you be interested in filming this? And anybody who pitches to us, I always consider, I never dismiss anything till I've took a look at it. So I'm working through that and dialoguing with people with the potential of yes or no with that. One of the big ones I've got coming out next year, or start filming in the spring, it's a psychological thriller film, and it's called Kazi.
Right.
And I wrote the story, and I basically wanted some fucked up weirdness in it as well, really dark corners. So I enlisted the help of an absolute cracking guy in Teesside called Craig Douglas.
Craig. He's been in the Lee Duffy documentary.
He was in the Lee Duffy documentary, and he was actually going to write a Lee Duffy film as well.
How's it going with that?
Beyond that, I don't know, because I'm not dialoguing with him with that. We're dialoguing on this film Kazi.
Yeah.
And so this film is going to literally have his dark corner take on that as well. Now, Craig's done a lot with Stephen King, shorts and so on and so forth. So for me, he's one of the best people, best placed to actually really darken off this film, because we haven't made it public as yet, because I'm just getting the actress and other people all signed up in their contracts at the moment. There's nothing being put out there, but straight after Christmas, once everybody's signed up with the contracts for that film, you'll start seeing stuff coming out. But keep an eye out for it. It's called Kazi, and you've already seen the promo poster for it, everything like that. So that's that is just ready to go. So it's been a funny old year. I've been off the radar for a few weeks now. I'm not really going to go into the reasons why. It's just for personal reasons, because I don't tend to air my stuff publicly, with that. But it knocked me off the radar for a short while. And this week's probably been the first week of coming back on. Today's been the first day of filming since I suspended it, with everything I've kind of had going on, personally. But yeah, it's been a full-on year, as some of you may know, and Jamie. I went homeless early this year. I wanted to do a story on homelessness and see how the effect of COVID had an impact on it. So I went homeless over the course of 6 weeks, and that was in January and all of February. And that was an absolute eye opener, and I mean an absolute eye opener. That
So you're on the streets of Teesside. You're usually a man who goes walking in the lakes and the hills and all this. But how was like living in the streets of Middlesbrough?
Do you know what? Right, I've walked across the country barefoot. I've lived in the mountains and everything, and then I've gone on the streets of Teesside. And do you know what? I find living in the mountains far easier than living on the streets. And it's the best way if you're going to do a documentary on homelessness, rather than just talk to them, immerse yourself with them, find out what it's actually like. And I found it bloody tough, really tough going. It's a dog eat dog world, and through COVID there wasn't many people around to give money donations or even food donations. And but that documentary, that's been done, and I've released that one on YouTube completely.
I'm going to put the
free
link in this video. If
Yeah.
anyone wants to have a look at Paul being sick in bins and finding bananas off the street floor and eating them, click on the bio and click on the link and you'll be able to watch it.
Yeah, cheers for that. I mean, that documentary actually won best feature length documentary and best director
Did it?
at the film festival
Wow.
earlier this year, for an insight into it. And it's funny because head of factual programming at Channel 4 sent me a personal email after
Really?
it saying that the journalism in it was absolutely fantastic. Because again, as you know, Jamie, I keep everything real life. It's pointless trying to steer something one way or another. If you can keep it down the middle, people make their own minds up as to what it was. All I know personally, I found it bloody tough. I mean, really tough
Did
going.
it get to a point where you ever felt like saying, do you know what, sod this, I'm going home?
Do you know what? Right, I could have. Not a lot actually breaks me, but there's many a head in hands time, everything like that. But everybody who was featured in the documentary, so everybody who I knocked around with in the documentary over that time, one thing I made sure of, once the camera stopped filming, they got the support they needed to try and liaise with the authorities on their behalf, to try and basically get them off the streets. And some people, they ended up completely life-changing, from it. Others, well, the streets just called people back. It's all I've ever known. I met people who were new to the streets. I met people, one guy had been on the streets for 38 years, and that's obviously his life, and nothing's gonna change that. But if everybody I knocked around with, because I used to be dubious about giving people money, thinking first of all, are you really homeless? And to be fair, I did see a portion of people who weren't really homeless, but the real people there, you think, is it going on food or is it going to go on, drinking drugs? Well, truth is, one person out of everybody, as I mentioned there, was not on drinking drugs. The rest were, and it's because they use it to try and escape it. Because every day is the same, or it gets it gets worse. So that is one hell of an insightful documentary, and it's out there free.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube for everyone to watch. If you're putting a link in anywhere,
Yeah,
that's
I'm going to
great.
do it for this video.
But otherwise, just go onto YouTube and just Google. Go onto YouTube and just search for Paul Suggitt surviving homeless. Settle yourself in, get it on your big screen tellies, and just watch it. It's a proper feature length documentary.
Yeah. Can I ask you just quickly about another documentary on Teesside that we done? So Lee Duffy, Too Far Too Soon. That came out last year, Christmas Day actually. And it's been, how successful has it been? And also, it did support the Frankie Lee Booth Fund, so like thousands of money. Of
you know what?
It's
It's
good
been
cause,
very,
isn't it?
it's been very successful. Lee Duffy was a well-known name in Teesside and beyond.
Yeah.
You can never discount that. And in the run up to actually filming it, there was a lot of negativity coming my way and stuff like that. And it was, for me as a factual documentary filmmaker, I'll stay impartial. I won't try and swear something that way or that way. And I'll film it and then leave it for people to make their own decisions on it. And then when it came out, a lot of people were like, oh, do you know what? That's, they're not bad. He's not a bad person. The production company isn't bad. We've steered it really in a very thoughtful way of factual.
It was done respectful, wasn't it?
100%, and that's how we wanted to do that. And I know people are saying you shouldn't be making these documentaries and stuff like that with that subject. However, if everybody had that mindset, nobody would ever know about the craze or anybody like
Jack the
all these,
Ripper and all this kind of
everybody.
stuff. Yeah.
And it's by talking about it, but keeping it factual and not swaying it different ways. People can then think, oh yeah, interesting, and so on like that. So yeah, so that that did phenomenally well with that. And like I say, part and parcel that does also support a charity as well out of it again. So
Yeah. So what's your plan? You've had a horrific year, 2021. Weeks away from a new year, new start. So where does Fat Cat Productions, Crazy Hat Films?
Realistically, it's when you say horrific, yeah, that's from a series of circumstances
Yeah.
that have snowballed. And like you said, I'm not going to go into them throughout the year. But in between that, everything we're doing, the filming that we've been doing with a lot of things that are going to drop next year, that's been so positive. It's been so positive, and also lining up the timeline for next year as well. So as much as there's been an impact personally throughout this year, the positive that's coming out of the year as well, and spilling into 2022 is absolutely great. And one thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be I'm saying we as Fat Cat Productions, myself as as a film director. Next year I'm going to be focused. I've been asked to talk at the International Film Festival that's coming to Teesside, about life as a film director and the Q&A that's going to come from it and everything as well, to help inspire creatives in Teesside to hopefully go out and start making their own films. Because one thing I found, Jamie, is there's so much talent in Teesside, yet it always seems to get overlooked. And with that in mind, what I'm going to be doing next year is I want to start involving people, so even in some of the films, unknown names coming to take part in the films, people who want to get a bird's eye insight into the industry, the filming industry that we're doing, to give them a chance and actually come and work with us on some of the films as an intern or whatever. But it just gives them that leg up. It gives them those credits that they need on IMDb for them to hopefully see that might be an industry that they want to go into, and again just forge that life ahead in film and start creating movies, because there's so much talent in Teesside and it does get overlooked.
Thanks for your time, Paul. So if anyone wants to watch Paul in all his best gear, looking like a tramp, eating bananas and skips and throwing up.
Do you know what it was, right? On this one, right? He takes the piss of you, right? But I tell you what, right? I had to grow this out, everything. I was wearing 5 layers, so I look like a Michelin man.
Did you get much sleep on the street though?
No, you don't, because you've got one eye out all the time. And some of it I was filming as well off an iPhone. It was like I'm conscious that it's there, because again, if I'm asleep, I didn't want to get.
So you're talking about 3 hours a night and all.
Yes, it's just you're tired. You were tired a lot, but yeah, when it comes to those clothes, I tipped up and I was going to start filming in some clothes, and it was like, nah, you don't look homeless at all. So in the end, one of the charities, Positive Healthful Outcomes North East, who look after homeless and homeless veterans, somebody who they helped get off the streets, they gave me a set of their clothes to jump into. So I was living in some other guy's clothes for a while, but you know what? After a while, the smell, it all just blended into one. Yeah. But for some reason, Jamie thinks that's my normal.
I think that you just went to your missus, get my best Sunday clothes, I'll go on. But listen, anyone who wants to watch Paul slumming it on the streets of Teesside, it was filmed in Middlesbrough, over the border, I think near the back of the Dickens Inn at one point. Yeah,
there was that. It was all down Linthorpe Road, all around those areas. So there was a lot in Borough, and then I crossed back over and I went into Hartlepool, filmed a lot of that in Hartlepool. So yeah,
so it's a must watch. So listen, have a look in the bio and click on the link and watch Paul sleeping rough. Thanks for your time, Paul.